This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace, the fastest, the easiest, the most efficient, the most effective way to create your own website, portfolio, blog, or online store. If you go to squarespace.com and use the promo code THUMBS, you can get 10% off your order, and if you order for a year, you get a free domain name. That is squarespace.com, and the offer code THUMBS.
Man, that's getting into like Carnival Barker.
I know, it's really
like Pod
good.
Barker. The fastest, the easiest way to make your website.
A free domain name!
You, sir, with the balloon.
Today only!
Not today only.
Not today only. Use the offer code THUMBS.
This Dateline was brought to you by Schnapple.com/thumbs. It's February 3rd, 2016.
This is Idle Thumbs 248. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
And I'm Jake Rodkin. What this website needs is to let all of us log in and then have it also say your name in big writing and the order in which you should say it. Because that's the other thing we always fuck up.
That's true. Actually, you know what's funny? So what Jake is referring to, the URL he just mentioned, this was described last week. This was a podcast reader who put together a website that it just gives us the script for the thing we say at the beginning of the episode.
For the entire episode.
That we always forget. And the worst part is there's now a very useful checkbox that you can say to make it be the next Wednesday, which you can click, depending on, I guess, what day of the week it is. And sadly, despite the fact that everything was handed to me, I still had the same panic attack I always had because I realized right as I opened my mouth that I wasn't sure if the box should be checked or not because I'm not sure which Wednesday it's supposed to be. So I still had the same just Dateline internal disaster that I always have.
Technology doesn't actually fix anything, Chris.
I got it right just in time.
Just gives you different problems.
Yeah,
It's true.
Anyway,
one thing, sorry about this. Between this feature and Johnny Driggs, who runs our YouTube page, who annotates every episode, I feel like our readers really like us a lot because they do these things, and they must like our ineptitude because they continue to listen to us after 248 episodes, but they also don't like the part of it that makes their lives annoying, so they write services to kind of bolster it up just enough.
Yeah.
I like it a lot that we're like... People are kind of building a strange, like, Idle Thumbs iron lung for us that will like, preserve us.
Yeah.
Just
but
enough.
not save us.
But not save us.
With enough of these tools, if readers keep creating these tools and we keep doing the podcast long enough to generate this suite of tools, eventually you could train a trio of robots to record this.
Yeah, exactly.
If people write these tools and we keep doing this podcast long enough, the end of that sentence is actually, maybe we won't be doing this podcast.
If the corpus of Idle
Thumbs algorithm.
The thing that needs to happen actually to make this real is someone needs to create an Idle Thumbs transcription server, and then you feed all that into a Markov chain.
Did you see that there was a Markov chain Idle Thumbs episode name generator?
Oh yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, so we got the episode names handled, we got the date and the intro handled,
and the descriptions.
Oh yeah, it was episode description generator.
Yeah.
So we've got all the metadata taken care of. Now we just need to replace the hosts.
Yeah. Which is really the easiest part.
That's true. Speaking of replacing the hosts of Idle Thumbs, just listen to idleweekend.net.
That's true.
Shit.
What if there are a podcast that's kind of like this podcast, but has actual topics and smarter people making it? Nick, there's a conspicuous bulge in your bag.
Is there, Chris?
Yep.
Nick, you from your bag, you've produced,
I've produced
a toy teddy bear.
This bear is the bear that I described 3 weeks ago, which was sent to me anonymously, as far as I can tell, and for my birthday, which was over December. But this bear, as I did research, is a sabotage bear. This bear will ambush you with a sound that will repeat endlessly until you destroy said bear. And so having subverted that device, I have now brought it here to intentionally, bomb defuse the bear in the confines of the podcast room. Bringing the most obnoxious noise-producing thing to a live show. So it's a ripcord. When the podcast is over, you pull the ripcord and the bear ends the podcast.
You've set a loaded gun down on this table, basically.
Yeah. Any one of us has the power
to end this
just completely end this episode.
Man, that is actually an amazing tool to leave on the table of any podcast.
Maybe it should just sit there until
if every podcast recording
for weeks, like a loaded gun. It is the just loaded gun in the corner of the room. Use in case of emergency.
Well, if we ever have a guest on who is kind of awkward and
sorry, this bear just started going off. I didn't know that's what it did. Anyway, I guess we have to stop recording now until next week when its batteries run out. Yeah. Anyway, you guys want to talk about video games? Because we're a video game podcast. I've been playing a video game, The Witness, a video game.
I think we've all been playing The Witness.
Yep. A lot of The Witness.
I liked The Witness back when it was cool, when only I was playing it. Actually, I guess that never has happened. You guys were playing it before me.
You liked The Witness back when it was a 1983 Infocom text adventure game.
Yes.
And you were the only one of us who was alive. But you were 3.
Was there an Infocom text adventure called The Witness?
Yes. It was. I found it because I came upon this really great piece of video game criticism from the New York Times in 1983, and it used to be a lot more common to find just isolated pieces of interesting video game criticism in mainstream publications, because there wasn't really an obvious clearinghouse for writing about video games. And
so are you saying there was not a place to publish non-interesting ones?
Well, I just mean there was no default receptacle, right? You can get you can find interesting pieces on any video game website, but the thing that is actually less common now, maybe this is changing again now, but for a couple decades, it became more rare than it was, weirdly, to find interesting video game criticism in places like the New York Times or Time Magazine, or even a more mainstream publication, or a more not mainstream, but a more entertainment-focused publication like Entertainment Weekly. But a lot of those publications actually used to do regular game reviews in the 90s. And I think a lot of people don't remember that, but it's totally true. The New York Times had a video game columnist for years and years and years. And I went back recently and found those old columns, and they're really interesting. And they had a weekly column every week. And it's just well-written stuff, the way you'd expect from the New York Times. Anyway, one of possibly their first piece of video game criticism was in 1983, and it was about the Infocom games. And I think the main subject of the piece was called Deadline, maybe, and it was a sort of hard-boiled murder mystery thing. And it was, interactive fiction, and
presumably you are a journalist protagonist in that game.
No, you were a investigator, I believe, a detective, either a police detective or a private eye. I can't remember. But in any case, the author of the New York Times piece was sort of talking about his experience playing this game, and he painted it in very evocative language, and it's sort of describing how just these responsive text inputs create this sensation of this place where you are and the life that you're inhabiting. And it was a really, really great read, and, okay. So actually, you know what? I just found the article, so you can search for it if you want to read it, because I did think it was interesting. It's called Reading and Writing Participatory Novels. And one of the funny things about it is that the author of the piece sort of says there isn't really a name for this yet, although the most popular so far seems to be interactive fiction, which did actually end up becoming the sort of historically canonical name for this stuff. But he puts forth a few other names that I guess people were using at the time that didn't end up lasting. And one of them I think that he used was participatory novels. And it's really great. Oh yeah, participatory novels, interactive fiction, and Participa-stories. That one did not stick around. And he mentions Zork. Oh yeah, here we go. Stu Galley's The Witness, to be released by Infocom next month, has just arrived, complete with the Detective Gazette and the decadent atmosphere of Los Angeles in 1938. Storm clouds are swimming across the sky, the computer tells me. Your favorite pistol, a snub-nosed Colt 32, is snug in its holster. So that's a little excerpt from The Witness.
From The Witness.
1983.
Jonathan Blow's been working on this game for 30 years.
Exactly, yeah.
That's just the magic circle, isn't it?
Yeah, that is actually, yes. That is totally that is the plot of the video game The Magic Circle, is a game that has been in development essentially for an entire human generation, going through like every form of technology available. Yeah, that's funny.
So maybe at the end of the day, Myst was the Witness clone after all.
Right.
Assuming that the Witness Infocom game is about a person on an island full of gears.
Anyway, I'm sorry to talk about
anyway,
nothing that has to do with any current video.
Years later, that IP is finally returned.
Yeah.
So we've all played this game. Mm-hmm. Nick, I don't know anything about your experience with this game yet. Jake, I've talked to you a little bit about it. Have you played it much?
Yes, I've played quite a bit of it.
Oh, really?
Which doesn't really speak to how far into the game I am, I guess. And
has it clicked with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it clicked with me pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fully going to 100% this game at some point, but it just seems like that's going to be a while at this point.
It totally is.
I had the moment where, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but I had the moment where I suddenly realized...
Oh, yeah.
And that destroyed me, and then made me realize that this game is like just gonna take forever.
The first time I found one of those, my brain fell out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I found one of whatever you're talking about, so maybe we can talk about that at a later time.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. We're gonna try and keep this free of specific sort of puzzle solutions or descriptions of surprising things.
Actually, Chris, I know that you are having a similar experience to this. Is that I am playing. Just playing it on my television, actually. And my girlfriend comes home and sees me playing it, and then we just end up sort of playing it together. And it feels like a really fun game to play that way. I haven't had that experience. Well, I know why, and it's probably the same reason that I had to stop doing this, but I saw that Sarah is getting sick while watching this, yeah? Or no?
Oh yeah, she was getting motion sickness watching me play.
Yeah,
and so she's
playing separately now.
But she was still really interested in the game, so she started up her own save. And has been playing. And in the last couple of days, I think she's played it more than I have, just because I just haven't had as much time. But she, which is really interesting, because I think it. So she has not really played puzzle games before, as far as I'm aware. I mean, she doesn't play a ton of video games. And the ones that she has tend to be, she's really into like Mass Effect, for instance, that kind of style of game, which is more, definitely more narrative oriented. Whereas The Witness, I don't know, I guess it maybe has a narrative. It's not really
that's not the point at all, though, right?
It's just totally not the point of the game. And the thing that I think is so impressive about The Witness is that it doesn't ask you, unlike most games of any genre, it doesn't really ask you to bring very much existing arbitrary video game knowledge to it. You have to be able to navigate.
You have to do dual stick controls or mouse. Mouse.
You need that, and that is definitely a big blocker for some people.
But that's it.
Sure.
Other than that, you just have to know how to use a mouse.
Yeah, and
what's funny about it too is
it teaches you all the rules if you're willing to put invest yourself into learning them.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is it feels like the things that it lacks that probably some game players would be frustrated by are probably the things that would make it easier for people who don't typically play games to play this game.
What?
Like a mini map, for instance, or just any semblance of
you think so?
I think that actually,
I completely disagree that stuff would make this game easier for a person who does not play games.
Oh, I don't mean easier. I mean less intimidating in some ways.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that is a thing that you have as an expectation from a person who sits down to play and goes, "Where's my map?" I think if you're a regular human being, you will not have that expectation and it won't matter.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what Nick was saying.
You're making the same point as me.
Yes!
Okay, I thought that you said things that gamers are expecting things that would actually make it easier for
things that would
people.
frustrate a gamer.
Oh, yeah.
In the sense that there's no mini-map or no, where's my next objective?
Well, I've definitely had that experience as a shitty gamer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I did too.
There was actually a moment I had of desperation where I started pressing keys trying to get a map to appear.
I did too. Yeah.
And nothing happened.
Oh, and I try and jump constantly. I'm slamming the spacebar like a fool. But I think those things are actually.
I'm very, very glad that stuff is not in this game, and it makes you address and assess the world as a place instead of as a video game construct, even though it's very clearly Like it uses
it's very intentionally the most artificial environment you could ever encounter.
It uses like so many rules of like Disneyland-esque design and video game level design to make it easy to navigate, but it's not built assuming there's that huge framework of video game messaging underneath it.
That Disneyland thing is a good comparison because...
Dude, The Witness is totally Disneyland.
Yeah, video game designers have often, and I think for good reason and accurately, pointed to Disneyland as a really useful kind of design touchstone, not for the experience of the rides themselves, but for the design of the actual
the
park,
hidden Mickeys.
Which
Disneyland is like the closest we have in real life to a constructed open world level.
Yes, exactly. Where areas are connected, where there's an intuitive sense of structure, but when you're in any given place, it feels like it's entirely enveloping you.
Right, until you come around a corner and then the foliage and architecture perfectly frames on a sightline a spire that is a waypoint of a different land of the park.
And The Witness is totally like that.
Yeah.
And it's even more important in some ways to The Witness because those lands, those sort of themed areas, actually correspond to mechanically grouped puzzles, at least in some cases. So, yeah. It's a really good game. It's really good.
This is stupid and goes without saying almost, but the game that is probably the best at doing almost all of the things that we're talking about before The Witness is actually just the original Myst. And I know that is dumb to say because The Witness, but both Chris, what you were saying about the way that this game does not, it's really, despite being a crazy constructed thing, it's really approachable to people who don't play games because it has its own regular language that is just based on your understanding of puzzles and space and the way that...
And it's really hard, but I don't think it's really hard in a way that is unique to... Like, Sarah told me an interesting thing. She said, I think I like this better than Portal. And I was like, why? I don't understand why you're comparing this to Portal. It doesn't seem that similar to me. It's like, well, you're alone and you're solving all these puzzles, but the difference is Portal expected her to have all of these like mechanical skill, like these sort of reflex twitch skills, at least late in the game, and that she just kind of stopped trying to deal with it. Yeah. I could still imagine someone giving up on The Witness. I mean, maybe I will eventually get just permanently stuck on The Witness because it actually does get incredibly hard. But the ways in which it is hard are entirely native to its own tongue, not like if you're good at playing just shooters generally, like we essentially are just as people who play a bunch of that kind of video game, something like Portal, you have a huge advantage because it takes advantage of those same skills.
I mean, some of my favorite stuff in Portal is the stuff where my dexterity as a first person player enabled me to do all sorts of crazy puzzle solving, whereas this, I mean,
I will agree with you though really quickly that like as much as I didn't think about Myst when I was loading this game up for the first time, maybe my brain was just sort of actively like dismissing the comparison.
I mean this is
there were multiple points at this where I just
clearly a descendant of Myst, and Jonathan Bullock has said that, but I think that the thing that people think about when they think about Myst is
getting stuck
and is weird esoteric puzzles, and it's hard as fuck, and it's a really beautiful island full of puzzles, and I think that when you think about it only in those areas, it's really easy to either sort of, I think, hate on Myst or hate on The Witness for being a clone of that or for doing things you don't like as a person who plays video games or whatever else. But I think when you remember why Myst was successful, it's because Myst was one of the best-selling games of all time, and it's because people who don't usually play games could sit down and get lost in it because of the way that the way that its puzzles work and the way that its own internal language works. And I think that The Witness feels like Myst to me more for that reason than for some of the more aesthetic things. Although, man, sometimes it does just look like Myst.
Yeah, it does.
More than I was actually expecting. There are moments where sort of just things start animating, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so Myst in a way that is really,
I love it,
charming to
me. Actually really
I love being out in the middle of a natural environment and then suddenly you hear like kung, and then a strange multi-levered like metal plate unfolds, and you're like, I know you when you were a QuickTime movie in that HyperCard stack that I played in the 90s.
it reminds me that I never really disliked Myst. You know what I mean? Where as much as there was just a backlash against that type of game,
I did
never
not like it. But
we've talked about this. We've talked about this. But I understood its faults, but I never actively dismissed the genre. I guess, or like the mode of play.
Yeah, that's fair.
I did only by sort of peer pressure.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Though I did that too, but I didn't want to. You know, I could feel myself saying, I kind of just want like Riven 3. But they clearly were not as well made.
I actually loved Riven.
Riven was great.
Riven was the Myst
Riven
game
the one with like the bathysphere track? Yeah, that was cool.
Riven is actually probably the closest touch point to the Witness of any of them because Riven was a contiguous space. Riven was the Myst game that didn't have you warping to different levels. It had things where you would do something on one side of the game.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
And then there would be a pipe that runs across the entire island, and then you'd hear a little like wind sound come out on the complete other side of it. But the thing that I think also makes a lot of the Riven and Myst thought processes get convoluted, at least in my brain, is looking back at Myst, you have to look through the atmospheric haze of decades of Myst ripoffs that have kind of done to Myst what I think its reputation is, which is esoteric puzzles on an island for the sole purpose of annoying people who deliberately seek out these games, sort of the same way that traditional adventure games kind of fell up their own ass over 20 years.
The Myst, I think the Myst descendants, we're starting with a more kind of difficult goal because it is just more esoteric and you can't fall back on kind of atmosphere and humor quite as much as more traditional adventure games did.
Yes.
And then also a lot of those games were just so pointless and like not self-justifying that genre actually entirely killed itself.
I think that the criticism of Myst is it's just puzzles, but I think that's also the salient takeaway of people who made Myst Clones who didn't understand the thing that you said, Chris, which is that each different world in Myst, at least the best ones, the most successful ones, were ones that created their own language and that you as a human being could play at them and go, oh, I see how this space works, and then use that knowledge to suddenly be able to work all the weird machines, as opposed to it's just a bunch of bespoke puzzles I don't understand.
Right. A bunch of chessboards and
glossy
lacquered wood.
I'm personally really, really, really loving the fact that The Witness takes that, develop a language and then riff on it, and you have these understanding breakthroughs of how this game's own internal language works, and distills it down even like not only cuts through all the atmospheric haze, like through the fog of Myst Clones to Myst, but probably punches farther back down and distills it even farther than Myst itself did.
Well, yeah, I think that. Go ahead, Nick.
No,
you guys both think.
Go ahead. You go first, and then
I think that the Witness is the kind of game that can only exist post Myst or post like this kind of game
in the post Myst era
can only be post something, right? Because I think that when you're making something like Myst at the time, you have the idea and you maybe have some sort of subset of the toolset required to make the ideal of that idea, but you haven't learned the lessons yet from the thing you've created. Whereas the Witness has had decades for lessons to have been learned from what Myst tried to do.
So this is like you go to a restaurant that serves you like deconstructed Indian food, which can only serve you that because Indian food already exists.
I mean, yeah, except that that's not better than Indian food.
No,
so
correct.
Yeah, I think that common language is the thing that makes this game.
Sorry, to actually make that comparison, the actual equivalent of that in a video game would be some kind of like subversive Myst deconstruction that is trying to be a commentary on Myst, but that's not what The Witness is. The Witness is 100% devoted to actually just making that game the best it can be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that's why it's good and not just like tongue in cheek. Anyway, go ahead, Nick.
Like assuming the best it could be is assuming the things that you're talking about sort of the game having its own internal way of existing is the thing about Myst that you enjoy. I think that the other reason that people say, I thought you were making a Myst thing and level criticisms against The Witness is because the thing that they liked about the Myst games and their and what evolved from them is the world building and the sort of the history and sort of Myst as a really early example of 3D environmental storytelling, and those things are not as present in The Witness.
That stuff is the worst part of The Witness, right? Like those finding the audio logs is not like I don't personally
I wish that
find
they were not
effective
there
or interesting.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, for a while, I didn't realize they were there. And then
when I find them, I've
went,
actually stopped clicking on them, and I feel like a bad person, but I feel like it's my choice.
yeah, that's probably that
fine,
feels like
yeah.
maybe a better expression of just the experience of playing that game.
Yeah.
Right. I can't help myself because I'm a garbage video game player who can't ever not click on a thing. But yeah, I think that's
well, now
probably...
that I mean, you find. This isn't really a spoiler, but you find puzzles that unlock some of that stuff, and now that I just find those puzzles and then don't write them down. I just sort of like leave them in their little box and just walk out of the room.
Funny. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it feels like this game has still the it's kind of like, I guess this isn't really more of a spoiler than what I was describing before, but like, for instance, those environmental puzzles that you find remind me very much of kind of the esoteric, like crazy, difficult things in Myst that you would just look at and go, well, I didn't even find that, so how was I supposed to solve it? Or like, I didn't even like realize you could click on the thing and like, this would happen and even unlock the like, opportunity to solve the puzzle. It has those things, but it has them in that common language. I think that was the key for me, without like frustrating me too much. Just everything falls back on that simple line.
Right. Even if
design,
the way that you arrive at the line is completely different.
And that's the thing I think that makes a big difference in terms of I'm not chucking the controller out the window. Like, I feel like, all right, at least these things all are within the same convention, and at least I know what I'm looking for, I guess.
It's nice to have the feeling in The Witness that I've not had in a video game in a long time, of coming up to something that I absolutely don't understand, and actually, like, I can't speak for everyone who plays this, but for me personally, the feeling of looking at something that I don't understand, saying, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
And turning around and feeling satisfied that I was able to know that I will come back to it and that I will understand it, or I will find some other avenue to get to the place that I'm trying to go, or to get to the end of the game.
Well,
I feel like it's a thing that I did not experience even in Riven, let alone there are some open world games where I'm driven mad by coming to a place that I don't understand and not knowing if I'm supposed to know what I'm supposed to do, or if I'm out of order, in quotes, or what. Like, in The Witness, I feel like it's all kind of okay. I've made peace with the fact that this is supposed to be inscrutable, but my goal is to learn it.
Well, and also, I feel like the game does do a good enough job kind of teaching that stuff to you in ways that you don't really expect. Like, I feel like it is doing a weird thing where it's unlocking a piece of your brain one at a time, and you may find a thing where you realize, like, I have no idea how to solve this, but it's not really so much that you can't solve it, it's that you haven't done enough of that type of thing yet.
Yeah.
And you have, like, the game gives you the confidence to realize, oh, it's going to sort of, like, teach me the sort of pattern of this without even really teaching me what this actual pattern is. It's weird. Like, it does just a really good job of, like, slowly kind of, like working out that muscle, I guess. I
feel like talking about this too much more without being able to actually give
it's really
examples
difficult
that prove our point is going to be weird. So maybe we should just table this until the end and say,
I mean, we also it might not even be worth doing that. Like,
that's true.
We could also call it here, but yeah, we'll see how we feel.
One tiny dumb thing to mention that this is not at all a spoiler because it's in all the videos, but you guys have surely made those happen at some point.
Yep.
I'm skeptical that this is not going to be spoilery.
They really remind me of The Dig, which is hilarious to me. That's all. The LucasArts game The Dig is a game set on an island where it involves you finding these puzzles that you solve that end up the island that you're on, and it's the exact same aesthetic and it's used in the exact same way. And it reminded me, this is actually me half segueing off into talking about The Dig for half a second, because that is a really maligned and kind of forgotten LucasArts adventure game. And I realized a thing that I'd thought at the time but forgot, which is that game is kind of LucasArts trying to make a Myst game using their language, which is crazy and weird. Because I doubt that's what that game started off as, but it's interesting that game... I wonder if The Dig looks better or worse playing it now than it did in the conversation at the time it was released.
I think it would look better because you would have, because you're divorced from the present of the time.
Where, like, this isn't Day of the Tentacle,
like the
right?
Next big LucasArts game.
Yeah.
I played The Dig. The first time I actually completed The Dig was probably in the early 2000s, and I think I really enjoyed it a lot because I just kind of sat with it and took it at face value and sort of understood where it was historically in a way that I don't think would have been possible in 1995 unless you were more mature than I was as an 11-year-old. But
because that game and Full Throttle both came out around the same time in LucasArts' history, and I feel like they're actually very much opposites. Full Throttle wants you to keep moving and for it to feel like you're inside of a movie, whereas The Dig is a LucasArts game that I think, for the faults that it has, it was really aware in hindsight of the fact that you spend a lot of the time in any adventure game just wandering from screen to screen and taking your time contemplating what the fuck you're supposed to do to unlock the next thing in the game. And it made that good in the way that Myst or The Witness does, which is, if you're going to be walking from scene to scene, let's make them as attempt to be as breathtaking and visually interesting and beautiful as possible, so that when you're strolling around adjusting, flipping levers and stuff, it seemed like it was built around the fact that you were supposed to be in a contemplative space when playing it, and I don't think I really appreciated that at the time. I'm sure
that's very true, and a lot of these sort of visual metaphors they use, crystals and caverns, I think share a lot in common with kind of cathedrals and imagery dealing with spaces that are intentionally reflective and contemplative. And I think it is intended to put you in that mode.
And also, like Riven, it has a sick, spherical subway system.
Yep, true. A thing I'll say about the experience I had when I played through The Dig that I think is applicable to The Witness, not in the specifics, but just in this type of game, is when I did go back and play through The Dig, because I wasn't playing through it as the next big LucasArts game that I was just gonna totally dive into head first. I kind of just lived with it for a while, and I didn't feel very pressured to complete it in any amount of time. And I feel like that would be the most ideal way to play The Witness. I've had experiences with The Witness so far. Actually, last night was really my first biggest example of this, where I thought I understood a given type of puzzle, and I just became so stymied that in my brain, it just feels like I will literally never solve it. I still think I may, in fact, never, ever solve this puzzle. And I had to walk away from it thinking, man, I may never solve that puzzle. And it was kind of a bummer and kind of frustrating. And I think that feeling is leading to the sort of skepticism or criticism some people are currently having about the game, because there are cases where you just feel almost hard blocked, and it feels like the game is just shutting you out at this point. And I think part of the thing that makes that reaction sort of inevitable in me and in anyone else is that we do understand that the way to play a game, not just to play a game, but to experience sort of any media artifact in the current culture, is to do so immediately and as soon as you can, so you can be part of the conversation. But I actually think that
binge playing The Witness is basically impossible.
It is totally impossible. I think the best way, probably, I shouldn't say the best, that doesn't mean anything, but I think a thing that is appealing to me is letting this game just be in the background of my life for months. And after I'm over the initial high of how much I'm just sort of surprised and delighted by it, which I was for the first few days, and still am essentially. I think it'll be nice to not feel like I have to just always be solving puzzles in this until I'm done with it, or until I burn out.
Chris.
Yeah, and that was an experience I had with Grim Fandango of all games, which is a completely bonkers game puzzle wise. I mean that game is pretty inconsistent in terms of puzzle design and difficulty, but nonetheless, I still just let it sink into the fabric of my life, and it took me months to complete. And by the time I finished it, it felt like I had actually gone on the epic journey depicted in the game, which in the game takes years, and in my case took months. But it felt like a huge arc, and I kind of suspect that there's not really a lot of value in trying to judge something like The Witness based on how much you can constantly always be making progress. And I don't mean to say that to just excuse the game for any sort of unreasonable difficulty spikes or anything, but just that it's probably, games are so different and weird that it's probably not appropriate to judge them all the same way. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't judge The Witness, but I do think it's the kind of game that will benefit from just being a slow burn as you work through it.
Can we take a quick witness turn and talk about 2 notable tweets relating to the witness?
Oh my God.
I don't know if I can look them up fast enough to talk about them. Have you memorized the contents of those tweets, Chris?
Those tweets. Yeah, okay.
So
now I know what you're talking about.
Our friend Rachel, who is married to our friend Steve, who made Gone Home and
was on this podcast.
Has been on this podcast many times over the years. She posted a tweet saying something to the effect of, Steve keeps talking about how he wants to visit Mr. Blow's magical island or solve Mr. Blow's fantastical puzzles, and I'm starting to get really worried about his drug use. And then our friend Kirk Hamilton, who writes for Kotaku, directly replied to her minutes later, like 3 minutes later, with the tweet, "Let's go to Mr. Blow's island and do some lines." And I died. I actually died. I'm dead now.
You saw that tweet like a day after it had been posted or something, which is amazing. And Chris was in the office and he looked at Sean's computer. Sean read the tweet and Chris like went, ha, ha, ha. And then like after the initial laugh, his brain...
No, Sean just read Rachel's tweet.
Oh, that's right. Then you read the response and I saw you like chuckle at it. And then I saw like the full realization of what you had witnessed. Fuck off. Up here in your brain, you would, Nick, you would have died by proxy at Chris dying. Like Chris, you turned into like, just like a Coen Brothers screaming man. Like Chris's eyes just opened wide and sort of stopped focusing. He was like looking at something that no one else could see, and he just went, oh, 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 and then just went. And went back to his desk and looked up the tweet himself to figure out how the fuck something like that had come out of Kirk Hamilton's brain in the most beautiful way that it did. And then I just heard furious typing, which was Chris like internet detectiving back to picture and reconstruct the backstory of 3 minutes later. Kirk replied to Rachel with this tweet. Anyway.
So I need to partly justify my idiotic reaction.
It was amazing.
Which was that it was not just the quality of the... It was not just the quality of the wordplay and the rapidity of the reply, although both of those things were paramount. It was also that he did it in direct reply without putting the dot in front of the reply to make it so that everyone would see the tweet regardless of whether they followed both him and Rachel. He didn't do it via the quoted retweet to like display his skill. He simply quietly replied to someone with the most perfect response.
Like atomic bomb blast of a witness joke.
And it killed me. Anyway.
We should take a break now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the fastest, easiest, the most robust, the most complete, the most compatible and beautiful way to make your own website, portfolio, blog, or online store. I realized as I started saying that I should have like gone full Don King and had
you may as
like
well.
a big rhyming spiel.
Yeah.
Squarespace is great. It is a great tool. And if you go to squarespace.com and use the promo code THUMBS at checkout, you'll get 10% off your first order. And if you sign up for a year, you'll get a free domain name too. So you can just go there, get everything you need all at once. It's like the most easy process imaginable when it comes to putting together a website. And we have another example of yet another Idle Thumbs reader who has used the Thumbs promo code to put together a website on Squarespace. If you go to fitzgeraldfreelance.com, spelled like Fitz, as in JFK, fitzgeraldfreelance.com, you can find the little kind of bio portfolio kind of site he put together for freelance copy editing. He's an editor by trade, an editor and a designer.
Nice.
He's got a nice classy photo with some sort of exposed red brick in the background, some soft focus, very classy. Yeah. And I'm looking at it on my mobile device, and it's got this great little hamburger menu on the bottom.
Yeah.
Hamburger menu. Are you familiar with this, Nick?
I'm actually not.
Okay. You know those like 3 lines you see that mean
that's
menu?
a hamburger menu?
That's called a hamburger menu.
Wow.
The horizontal lines where you click them and then they expand out into a menu.
Is 2 a hot dog menu, Chris?
Yes, I declare it to be so.
Okay.
If you would like to make your own website complete with hamburger menus and maybe hot dog menus,
if you feel like it.
Yeah. Go to squarespace.com, set up an account without needing to put in a credit card to get going.
Sign up without a card. It's not hard.
Oh, my God. When you're ready to check out, use the promo code THUMBS, get 10% off, sign up for a year, get a free domain name included. It's the best. Squarespace.com, promo code THUMBS. Thanks, Squarespace.
Thanks.
Video game. This Idle Thumbs episode is also brought to you by ProFlowers. You may infer from the name they're professionals when it comes to flowers.
Oh.
Yeah, we've gotten ProFlowers before. They're great. They come with the the vase and the stuff you need to pour into it to keep them fresh.
Do they have a pro shop I can go to?
Proflowers.com. If you go there, you can click. There's a little microphone icon. If you click the microphone and you type in the code THUMBS, you can up the available deal. You put in thumbs, it'll take you to a version of the website that shows the discounts you get with the sort of other deals you get with promo code THUMBS. You can get a dozen red roses and a glass vase for just $29.99. And if you order by Friday at midnight, which you're going to want to do because Valentine's Day is coming up, you'll get free chocolates too.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Nice.
But
what
if you upgrade to ultra romantic long stem roses?
They send
this is
you a bear
the pro that
never stops talking.
No, they totally won't.
Oh.
One of the features of ProFlowers is that they don't include an annoying, never shutting up bear.
Oh, that's nice.
That's why they're
nice.
pros. They know what they're doing.
Right.
No, but if you can upgrade to romantic long stem roses with a premium vase, premium vase or vase, one might say, chocolates and a spa kit.
Whoa.
Yes. For just an extra $10, an extra $9.99.
Well, that's nice.
So, proflowers.com, offer code THUMBS, click that microphone, put the thumbs in, see all of the things. Valentine's Day is coming up. If you thought your only option was to send your favorite person an annoying bear that never shuts up, you're in luck. There is another option, proflowers.com. Click the microphone.
Some would say a better option.
So, I think everyone would say a better option.
Yeah.
I think the choice is clear.
Annoying,
never shut up, happy birthday bear. Not even the right holiday, let's be real.
Well, true.
Versus...
Unless your birthday is Valentine's Day, Chris.
That's true. I still think...
Even then, you probably want to go with the ProFlowers. You're better
served with the romantic long stem roses, chocolates, spa kits, flowers, and premium vase.
Yes.
Proflowers.com. Offer code THUMBS. Click that microphone.
Do it.
Thanks, ProFlowers.
Thank you.
Video game.
Just Cause 3.
Duh.
Nick, you've been playing Just Cause 3.
I have.
Did you beat it?
No.
Oh, okay.
You've been digging this game, I know. You mentioned that at least.
No, I'm really digging this game.
And you'd played a lot of Just Cause 2.
I did. This game just feels like a fully complete realization of what I wanted that game to be.
So it's funny you say that because I remember we had... It had seemed like some of the people who were really into Just Cause 2 found Just Cause 3 to be kind of disappointing. I know. Why do you not find that to be true?
I don't know. I don't. I cannot explain that. Yeah. I mean, when I played Just Cause 2, I felt like I wish these settlements were actual places and not just kind of part of the open world. Like there was no real function to a lot of things. And I think
I love the way settlements work.
Yeah, the settlements work really well. God, it's really weird the way that you can unlock them too. Like at this point, I'm like spawning jet fighters and just bombing settlements, and then it just like in some cases just completely unlocks them from the air. It's a weird like subversive commentary on just like. You've liberated this province, and there are just like cluster bombs falling from the sky,
Man, in classic Nick Brecken mode, I've been playing this game way longer than you have, and you're like, anyway, spawn in jet fighters and bomb the place. Like I haven't done that.
You can just spawn in fighters like on a mountaintop. It takes like 3 feet to actually take off, so you can just like drop like. From the sky, like a shipping container falls down on like a 5 square foot like area of space, and then you just fall off the mountain in your plane, gain speed immediately, and just take off. And then you can just carpet bomb the entire map. It's weird.
Can you bomb the map with planes inside of shipping containers? Like, can you just call them in?
You can actually. You can call in things that just fall on people's heads, which is really good. There are a lot of really good moments in this game. Mm-hmm. God, there have just been some things with just the way that, the physics simulation is really impressive, and just weird little like micro moments where my brain just suddenly thinks this is no longer a game. It's a weird thing to describe, but like just weird moments where like it's almost unbelievable. Like an explosion will happen, and like the camera will be facing away from the explosion, and the way that the sort of like blast wave hits all of the objects. Like I was staring at this guy, I guess one of my allies probably, and this explosion occurred, and he was knocked back, and so was I, but I was looking just to the side, and so the effect was just this crazy like wave of air and just like shocked
you, yeah,
and just everything was just wiping across, and just for a second it just looked like a movie, like it just looked like the scene where whatever, like your friend is just like getting blown back against like a wall or something. It was really weird, like just weird little micro moments like that. And also just weird, hilarious, random things like just stupid like patrols occurring during the loading menu, which is my favorite thing. Like, so the way the loading menu works is you boot up the game, and then there's the menu is overlaid on top of your dude who's just leaning back
on
against
car, right?
A car.
Yeah, like
it's just if you don't have a car when you stop playing, it just gives you a car to lean against, which I also think is hilarious.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good.
That thing, like, as far as just the sort of technical elements of game design, that feels so smart to me, where they're like, okay, we're going to have a huge load screen when you initialize the game anyway, and players are going to have a continue button. Why don't we just also load your save game right at the beginning of the game, so when you press continue, you're just technically on a pause screen. Like, it just starts paused, but with an amazing like Mad Max poster shot.
It doesn't start paused.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, my favorite thing is that, so actually, we already burned some cast, but like I will actually rewind even further back to my first initial encounter with this, which is that I was watching my guy lean against a car, and I kind of got up to do some stuff and came back, and then I was still like, in front of my computer, like doing something on my phone, and then I just heard this like, doo, 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 and I look up, and just like my guy is leaning it back against the car in the most nonchalant manner, and just bullet holes are just appearing next to him, and just bullets are like flying.
So he's just being the coolest.
He is being the coolest fucking dude
customer
in the world, as just like somebody off, elsewhere, just off camera, is just having a firefight, and then like a fucking like.
With your guy or
no, with somebody else on the other side of the car.
Cool guy's
so
menu idol guy,
just
caught in the crossfire of some amazing,
weird emergent battle, and then
he'll be caught up in it.
Yeah, and then like an APC, like a huge thing with like a turret on top, just like rolled up and just started just mowing down people that were like back behind the camera. So it just looked like he was shooting at me.
Imagine if you were in VR
for like for like 5 minutes. This was happening. He was just like
you were just watching
laying
this play out
into people. Yeah. It just like dirt's flying as like and then somebody threw a grenade across the screen, and then I could just hear like people like dying in the distance.
This
and
is
then
like
just like more tanks rolled in, and it just became.
Did you jump into the game at that point, or did you?
No,
wait till
I just sat there and waited until everything just kind of like moved on.
This is the ultimate version of in games like this, but their 10 years ago version, when your character dies and then the world keeps happening. Like in that main menu, you half expect a guy to go, "Where'd he go?"
Man, so I saw a video of the most incredible version of this, which was someone's pause screen and the guy there just up on a cliff, and he was leaning against the car, and he was there. 15 seconds later, some guy runs in from the right of frame, jumps into his car, steals it, drives away.
Oh man, he stole the car? Oh my god.
And the guy is still just standing there, pretend leaning against nothing.
Man,
that is the coolest cool guy.
Not to even like NBD.
I don't even care if my car was stolen.
I couldn't believe it. It was amazing.
God. Yeah, it's so funny because, like, the windows of the car were just shattered by the end of this thing. So he just, like, everything was
usually
shot
the
out.
best part about starting the game is that you have a brand new, unsullied car.
I want just cool Just Cause menu guy to be a stupid meme. I want to see all variants of this, of what happens to that guy when
you want to see like Obama get photoshopped into there,
right?
As like Trump steals his car,
right? Yeah, that's all I want, but it's probably not going to happen because it's Just Cause 3 menu guy. Not
yeah. Anyway, that game's really good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I do love it. I love it a lot. I haven't played it as much recently because I've had such little free game time, and it's pretty much all gone into the Witness. But man, I have put probably dozens of hours into Just Cause 3.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a weird, like, forgotten, like, enormous game that has been completely forgotten, which is really a shame because there's so much in this game.
Maybe
there's so many other
maybe it'll come back
with
weirder mods. Maybe.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know.
So, Nick, you were saying earlier how, I asked you, you've played a lot of Just Cause 2. Some people who were into that game have not been as into this game. Some people have.
Yeah.
You have, and I said why, and you said you don't really know. And I think that is part of why a game like this can sort of get lost, is because games like this that are so huge and do so many things, I think they're really hard to pin down. Like sometimes
it's true.
For some people, it'll just hit something, and it's like the crazy alchemy of all the different elements going into this.
Yeah.
Like for me or for you, like turns out it's totally on the money. And, for some people, there was just some like little ingredient in the previous one and the way they were combined that made that one.
Well, the surprising thing for me with this is like I'm enjoying the weird little challenge missions,
which I have not gotten into.
But just the fact that it doesn't track it worldwide in terms of a leaderboard. It's only your friends, and so anytime you do anything in this game, like there are things that are just as you're wandering around the open world. Yeah, I'm sure it's still tracking a worldwide thing, but just like they're just stupid things like you've glided longer than Nels, and I'm just like, oh, that's nice. I'm glad I've glided longer than Nels, and like then now I'm just like I have to crush Nels on every challenge, and like I just have made that my mission.
Nels is like I love this game really doesn't challenge, isn't just let you do whatever, and there's no forced anything. Whereas you're like, I will crush you.
Oh no, I've made a point to like if because it gives you like a 5-star rating for each of these challenge things, and you can complete it and get 3 stars, and it shows you like, you did all right. You can move on and keep playing the game. But Nell's got 4 stars, and I'm like, no, I am not leaving this until
maybe the missing link, maybe the missing ingredient in my enjoyment of challenges was that Nick Brecken was not popping up on my leaderboards because I stopped playing before you started playing.
Right, and here's the horrible thing: when you load up the game, it's going to tell you that I've beaten everything that you've done. It just gives you like,
here's the horrible thing, Chris: everything you've ever accomplished.
Yeah, truly. Heartbreaking.
It also has the thing. It has the explicit challenges, but then it also has the thing that like Burnout Paradise had, which is just as you're navigating the world, as you're driving your car around, as you're flying around, as you're gliding around, as you're shooting stuff, you are just constantly engaging in contextual challenges that you're not opting into. They're just happening. Yep. So like if you're in a car and you do a big jump, if you start creeping up on your best jump time, you'll just in the upper right of the screen, you'll see the little ticker. It
says personal best.
And it's like, personal best, and then friends best, and current, and...
personal best, friends best, Nick Brecken's best.
The other good thing that this game does is that it has the thing where, you're constantly upgrading all of your abilities. It's got, whatever, like a sort of ability, map of upgrades and blah, blah, blah. But the thing that I enjoy about it is that as much as you can upgrade a particular mechanic, they never completely remove the importance of actually like being engaged with it. Like for instance, like the wingsuit, there are like 3 different upgrades you can get for that thing, but it never removes the sort of like tactile feeling of like, shooting out your hook shot and like grabbing a thing. Like that always remains intact. What it's doing is it's just sort of it's giving you like more things you can do within that to sort of like optimize it. I don't know. It's a stupid distinction.
No,
but
it's true. You do start with a really great tool set off the bat.
Yeah, and I just like that it doesn't say, okay, now you're just Superman, or which I feel like a lot of games would do. I just feel like a lot of games at some point would just say, you can just fly now.
They just sort of expand the reach of what you have a little bit.
Yeah, and kind of expand the expressions within.
Also, this didn't happen to me for a while until I had been playing the game for a while. But once you start learning how to like chain hookshot stuff while also using a wingsuit. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Jake has to leave. He has
I was going to see if no one would notice if I didn't speak on the rest of this episode.
That's fine.
Jake has
we'll just pull that bear and I'll set it for you.
Oh man, Jake, you're going to miss bear reveal.
It's fine. It'll be here when you come back.
Maybe bear will still be here next week. Who knows?
God.
All right, see you, Jake.
Bye, Jake.
All right, Nick.
Yep, we're doing it.
You and me.
Yeah, it's turned into
for like the third time in the last couple months.
Yeah, should we reintroduce the episode?
Wait, hold on. Let me pull up schnapple.com.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess I don't know if I have anything more to say about Just Cause, except that I wish more people would check it out, because I feel like it will just become a weird forgotten thing. I guess it'll be a good game actually to pick up on Steam after this crazy release cycle is sort of dying down.
It's an embarrassment of riches right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Like that, that game, I guess, came out a little while ago, but that, and then The Witness, and then I can't wait to play XCOM 2.
Oh, man,
and then I really want to play Rise of the Tomb Raider, which came out yesterday. Mm-hmm. We're definitely in one of those, which is weird because it's February.
Yeah,
but
I think that's happening now. It feels like spring is its own thing.
Yeah.
Now, it feels like maybe summer is sort of the last bastion of like, there's no spike of video game stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. In video games, it's never been summer. It's always been fall.
Yeah.
Anyway. Do you want to do some reader mail?
Sure.
So we have multiple emails. I don't know what these are yet, but I can already see that there are multiple emails about Daddy Longlegs news. So
good.
Yeah. Sissy Beery, here's one. She writes, "Hey Thumbs, as I can't see anything Daddy Longlegs related without thinking of you guys anymore, I thought I'd share with you the monstrosity that just came up on my timeline." And she links an article from the Mary Sue blog. And I assume this is what presumably all these emails are about the same thing. Oh my God. This headline is, well, all right, here we go. Researchers find erect Daddy Longlegs penis preserved in amber for the first time ever.
Oh no.
Yep. According to an announcement made in the Science of Nature last week, researchers in Burma have uncovered a 99-million-year-old fossilized remains of a harvest man, an order of arachnid distinguishable from spiders by several physiological differences, also known as a daddy longlegs. But its legs weren't all that was long about the specimen. According to researchers, the harvest man's penis was extended to half its body length at the time of death. The team explains, "This is the first record of a male copulatory organ of this nature preserved in amber and is of special importance due to the age of the deposit."
Now you're patenting it? You're slapping on a plastic lunchbox.
Well, I mean, this is our shitty Jurassic Park reality.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the amazing dinosaurs rule the earth. It's Daddy Longleg penis trapped in amber.
Yeah,
and we clone that.
No, that's real life.
Daddy Longlegs DNA
got stuck in the sap.
We in our version of Jurassic Park, we combined. Yeah. We took dinosaur DNA and filled the missing links with this Daddy Longlegs penis DNA. God, I can't believe Jake is not here for this.
I know, this is really, this is the worst thing. I can't believe he just walked out. Yeah. Oh, God. Jurassic Park 5, Daddy Longlegs splicing.
Yep.
Oof.
Well, thanks, Sissy, for making this interesting and fascinating news available to us. Well, I guess I could ignore the rest of the Daddy Longlegs
man's reach
news.
Exceeds his grasp, Chris, is what we've learned today, I think.
Well, the Daddy Longlegs reach really exceeded its grasp, if you know what I'm saying.
God.
Yeah.
Oof.
Let's see here. So here's a related to what we were talking about. Part of what we were talking about with The Witness today. William Channel writes, "Sup Thumbs, I recently purchased The Witness. I'm not generally a puzzle gamer, but with the positive things being said about the game, I thought I'd give it a shot. After playing it, I thought, you know who else would like this game? My mom. To illustrate a realization I had about my mom's generation of lapsed gamers and the current crop of games, there are no spoilers for The Witness below, so no worries. My assumption that she'd like The Witness wasn't unfounded. My mom enjoys puzzle games generally, and I thought the biggest hurdle would be getting her past the nausea first-person games have given her in the past. That was not an issue at all. Instead, problem came up I hadn't anticipated. For one, moving around the world was extremely hard for her. Any coordination she had developed in her life seemed to have gone out the window. Even looking around in a stationary position was hard for her. Inverting the y-axis helped, but there was something strange about the way she moved. I realized that she did not realize you can engage the left and right joystick on the PS4 controller simultaneously. She had been moving a short distance, stopping, deciding where she wanted to look next, looking that direction, then she would start moving again. This would result in problems in the literal traversing of the world. She came to a wall and assumed there was no way around it. I had to explain to her that there was a doorway 5 feet to the left. Obviously, she would have found it eventually, but since moving was so unintuitive to her, it would have taken significantly longer. This made me realize that my mother's generation has no context whatsoever for many of the most basic mechanics of today's games. I immediately got into The Witness and moved around effortlessly, but only because so many of the games I've played have identical systems in place. My mother is a woman of extremely sound mind and once achieved the highest attainable score on a Space Invaders cabinet in the 80s. But she struggled with the most basic aspects of The Witness, even aspects that deal with the puzzles. Not through any fault of her own, but simply she had not played video games since the mid-1980s, and games have changed drastically since then. Something to think about. Thanks and keep casting a great pod. Will from Ohio. P.S. My mom did eventually get used to the controls and is now addicted to The Witness.
Nice.
So that's
I don't think
nice.
That's exclusive to people who are older.
I don't think so either.
At all.
No, I don't think so.
Like even my girlfriend Janelle, when she plays games like this, she usually plays them on PC. And I can't remember what game we were playing recently, but she had to use twin sticks to look around for the first time, and she was like, "Ugh, this is hard. This is so unintuitive."
Yeah.
And I think just
twin
it is just
a crazy control.
It's just a weird thing. Yeah. It's just it is a bizarre thing that I guess if you've never played like 20 hours of Halo when you were 20 years old, you're not going to internalize that. You know, like it's not something that is. And
so we're I'm working on a game called Firewatch, which is a first person story exploration game that's not really like The Witness, but it does have first person, and so it has mouse look on PC and it has controller on console, or you can also use a controller on PC. But one of the things we found in testing the game is that some people who have motion control issues have it worse when they're using a controller, and my suspicion for why that's the case is that often they find that their motion control is lessened once they start trying it on PC. And I think the reason is that every bit that you move the screen, that you change the view, where the actual field of view is pointing on with a mouse, it is one-to-one directly related to motion in your own hand.
Yep.
Whereas on a controller, once you start turning, if you keep holding the stick, your character will just keep spinning, even if your finger's not moving anymore. And even if that only happens for like half a second or a second, I think that can be really disorienting for people.
I think it's that delay. It's that millisecond delay, input delay that can just really throw people off. Like, I think...
but I think it's also the fact that, like, it's relative movements.
So exactly. Yeah. But even beyond that too, like, something with The Witness that a lot of people are experiencing is like, motion sickness, like nausea. And I think the
lack of a reticle.
The lack of a reticle is a big deal. But also I think just sort of like head shake and bob and things like that, and just the way that when you let go of the stick, it just stops instantly, but if there's a slight delay to that, as you push the stick, there's like a millisecond delay, and then it sort of lurches, And I realized as I was playing it with a stick that I have a weird thing where my PC has like a super long HDMI cord to my TV, so it gives you like
actually a noticeable.
There is like in most games it's fine, but like with a game like this, I realized like, oh man, there's enough of a delay here, and I assume it's analogous to the delay between like a VR setup, where it's head tracking, but if there's a slight delay, it's the whole thing is just a disaster. But in general, like twin stick control methods are not a perfect solution for any of this stuff.
No, they're not. It's a crazy case where really great design, you're reminded how contextual it is.
Yeah.
Because if you've been playing video games with a control pad for a long time, when twin stick became a standard, it was like, oh, this is amazing. This is like finally how you can do this on a console in a way that isn't totally compromised. But like that is in the context of someone who has a grounding for this stuff in the first place.
So this made me think of something that I mentioned last night. Actually, I was thinking about just older games for whatever reason, and I was reminded that my mom played a bunch of games to completion that I never bothered to, and one of them was Metroid Prime. And then I was sitting there thinking, like, how the hell...
And your mom beat Metroid Prime before you did?
Oh, I don't think I ever beat it.
Oh, man, that's
she demolished that game. She's like 100% of that game.
That's awesome. Your
and I was
the
sitting there thinking, like, how did she manage that? Because she doesn't really... Like, up to that point, I don't think she'd ever played... Like, she played maybe like Mario 64... but nothing that felt like a first-person shooter. And I was just kind of like, how did she kind of on her
remember
own
what the
develop...
actual control method of that game
But then when you remember,
Yeah.
it's basically a single-stick shooter. And actually, when you think about the design of that game, a lot of that game was designed such that you didn't really have to look up or down. You know, it was a lot
you do,
of...
but you kind of stop and you observe.
Right, exactly. It was a sort of... and that's why
But
I thought of
you're
this...
not doing that while aiming and fighting
Exactly.
because you lock on.
But that's why I thought of this guy and his mom, where he'd use one stick and then use the other, and that's actually kind of what you did in
totally what
Metroid
you do in
Prime.
Metroid
And then I thought, oh man, that's exactly how my mom managed to get through that game. Is she didn't
awesome.
have to use both at the same time. That game was designed to only really require one of those things. Partly because they didn't have a twin stick, but also just maybe because it was
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of the. They did have a twin. There were two sticks, but one of them was clearly very intentionally designed,
right,
to look and feel like it has a different purpose. And so while you could make a twin stick shooter on GameCube, it's clear that the industrial design of that controller was intended to suggest this is like a sub function analog stick on the right, and then the left one is your core analog stick input. And it, like for some games that was a real pain in the ass, and for games that were designed for that controller, it was great.
Yep.
So like everything else, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff's really interesting. Let's see. So Greg writes, "Hey Thumbs, in case you're looking for a more recent game to push the buttons which Minesweeper did, check out the Hexcells / Squarecells series." And then he links to these games on the Steam store. Hexcells is essentially a hexagonal minesweeper with some other sources of information. The number of mines in a row column, if they're explicitly contiguous or non-contiguous, how many there are in a two-space radius, etc. Except that instead of being random, they're always designed logical puzzles to which there's at least one valid move that can be derived. There's always at least one valid move that can be derived. Hexcells is effectively an extended tutorial, but Plus and Infinite are great, and Infinite features a random level generator. Squarecells is similar, but a more normal square grid and has a bit more in common with Picross. Anyway, I played through all of them the past year and really enjoyed them, so after your mention of Minesweeper, I thought they might interest you. Cheers, Greg.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah. This was part of a conversation about Churchill Solitaire last week, Nick. Would you want to hear
Churchill
Solitaire. Have you played that at all?
No, I haven't played it. I read about it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. It's good, although it is so brutal that I think I might eventually peter out pretty soon.
Right.
Just because I don't think I have the patience to like keep going back and min-max these deals. But it's cool. It's a cool design. I mean, yeah.
Looking forward to that Rumsfeld's next.
Rumsfeld
next Odyssey.
Next
yeah,
joint.
I mean, hopefully he earned enough money to fund his next project.
Yeah, like he needs it. Let's see here. Man, we have a bunch of email. I really should have sorted through this stuff. So, Robert Zoo writes, "Hey Thumbs, just listen to Nick's mom's musings about his early childhood, and you guys seem surprised that she was ready for him to stop growing at the tender age of 5 months. As a first-time father of a now 6-month-old little girl, I feel I'm in the prime position to shed some light on where Mrs. Breedon may have been coming from. At 5 months, my daughter was wonderful. She was finally mostly sleeping through the night. She smiled and cooed every time she saw me, and she would laugh at anything I said. She wasn't mobile, so she would stay more or less wherever you put her. I could even hold her in my arms while going out to dinner. On top of that, she's been breastfed, so her diapers were easy. It was great. Fast forward 1 month. She's teething, which means she's waking up a lot more during the night. She's rolling over and getting ready to crawl. Nothing in the house is safe. She had her first taste of real food, so real poop is in the near future. In the coming months, she'll be crawling, walking, talking, and things will keep going from there. In short, 5 months is a great age, and the point where you really start to see your child grow up and become a little human. I found myself saying I would be happy with her never getting any bigger than she was, but that did not happen. If you guys ever decide to have kids, I'm sure you'll have similar feelings about your baby thumbs. Keep casting those pods, Rob."
Yeah. Kids.
You weren't special, Nick.
No, not at
They're
all.
all like that.
God, there was an entry that I read where this is stupid to talk about, but like, I guess at like a year and a half or 2 years, I just refused to poop for a while.
Wow.
And it was a control thing, apparently. Like, she was like, oh, God, like, I wish you would just go, but, like, you won't because we're asking you to.
Oh, my God.
And so just for like, days at a time, I would just, like, nope, not doing it. Sorry, fuck you.
That must have been
good.
Extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, she was like, I can just see on your face how painful this is, but because you don't want to satisfy us, you will not poo. I was like, what? Kids are so weird.
Well.
Yeah.
That's true. You more than many. Yeah. Man, we have there are several emails I would like to read, but they're very Jake oriented.
Yeah.
Someone's writing in about Sven Co-op. Did you ever play Sven Co-op, Nick? No. Yeah.
No. Yeah, we should save that for Jake.
Yeah. Well,
pulling the ripcord.
Oh, man.
Are we doing it?
Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, God. Are you
I don't really have a contingency plan for this. I don't know what the, I mean, like, I can't. I was so afraid coming here because I took a cab. And I was so afraid I was going to just nudge this bear and it was just going to start some insane noise. And then I was going to have to throw it out the window and then, the bomb squad would come. Like, I don't know. How do you get rid of something like this? I mean, how do you actually deal with this?
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. that classic Batman.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'll be jumping off the end of the pier with this stupid bear. Like, what am I going to do? God, I wish I knew who sent this.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast.
I mean, it also says press here.
Please tell a friend. You can find us on iTunes. We're on Twitter at Idle Thumbs. You can send us email at questions@idlethumbs.net. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/idlethumbs. We appreciate you listening to this podcast. Oh my God. Oh my God. It really is doing it.
There's no way to turn it off, Chris. There's no...
What have I done? I sent you that, by the way.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh my God. No! Sir, after all this shit?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Well, joke's on you, because...
I was so annoyed when I found out that you didn't open it at your house. The reason I was so annoyed is because you were not so annoyed.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny that it came back.
Yep.
To just bite you in the ass completely.
Yep, I did it to myself.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
Yep. I kind of can't believe this. Like, what I said it to you...
Yeah, this has to be, from your perspective, this has to be completely unbelievable.
Yes.
Because you send somebody...
I also sent it to you on a whim. And, I didn't really, think...
Right, you didn't think through the ramifications of where this would go.
Well, I definitely didn't think this far ahead.
And now here we are.
Oh, my God.
Well, enjoy your workday.
Oh, my
And the
God.
rest of your life.
God damn it. I actually don't know what to do about this because we have we work above a wood shop and that's where we put our trash.
Do they have saws?
Oh.
Do they have hammers? Do they have chiseling devices?
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that. I was thinking I can't put it in the trash because it's where our landlord is.
Right.
And
I can't believe you sent this to me and this is happening right now.
I know.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Oh, this is perfect.
Well.
Yeah. On that note...
I can't believe... If you're still listening, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like this could just go on. This could be the longest podcast ever recorded, really.
This will go on forever.
Well, that's true.
You, dear readers, do not have to listen to it. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. I keep... Sorry.
No, it's not actually over.
I keep kind of thinking maybe it's going to stop. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, you expect...
any product in the world would.
Yeah.
but it's never going to, and it's never going to change.
Well, the question, I mean, like, what is the battery life really on these things? You have to wonder.
I don't know. I mean, it depends what they decided to invest in this thing to really keep the gag going, right? Like,
every inch of this bear is just like battery packs stacked, like just chained together in some monstrous watch battery. Man, I mean, it's got to be like
Nick's trying to
it
choke
is
the life
solid.
out of
It is like this is like a solid heart of like a dark heart of like.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I can't feel.
I don't even know with a hammer you would crack that thing.
Yeah.
And the thing, it's got like built-in padding. It's got like a Kevlar vest of like teddy stuffing. Like, how are you going to actually?
Do you want to try and cut it open? And
I mean, I guess so.
All right.
I mean, it's just going to get stuffing everywhere. Like. Scissors? I guess. Oh man! Chris has just walked back into the room with the knife from Psycho. Oh, actually, it's a bread knife. It's a serrated knife. Yep. Doesn't have much of a point, so I feel like it's just like a sawing mechanism.
Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you almost have to like choose your angle of attack here.
Wait, hold on.
Straight down the middle, I think. Spilling his intestines. Have some respect. You ready for this?
Are you doing it?
Are we doing it?
I guess
all
so.
Right, we're gonna try to perform surgery here.
Oh God, is it working?
The knife's just gonna go through this bear and cut my hand off. Happy birthday will be the end of me. Oh man. Oh my God. Oh no, there we go. Oh yeah.
Can you pull out its last part?
This is something. Oh my God!
You find it? Oh, there it is. It's so much louder now.
Yeah, I know.
This is terrible.
Well, it's connected to some kind of battery device.
Oh, if you rip that cord, will
I feel like if I just cut the cord, but
yeah.
then. Oh, wait a minute.
Is there a? Oh!
Wow. Well, actually, I mean,
All right. Can we reassemble it maybe and give it to someone else? No, I guess we ripped it open now.
Well, I don't... Yeah, it looks like I pulled a...
I think you've destroyed it. I think you've killed the bear.
Well, I think if I connect... Yeah, you'd have to really just like... Wow. Man. I didn't actually expect to be able to do this.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. I mean, this is the speaker. Shit. I didn't live very long. I feel kind of bad. Like, look what I've done.
It's like I think that's part of the
part of the gift is just
the thing is that you have to become a monster.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to
rips apart a poor little teddy bear.
Right. Well, thank you, Chris, for this gift.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Enjoy your wedding gift.
I can't wait. All right. R.I.P. Bear.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
IdleThumbs.net.
Here. There you go. Good.
We'll put that video up on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/idlevideos.